All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Authentic You podcast.
Sir.
Super excited
Yeah.
to get my guest here, Ray, on. This is actually not technically episode one, but this is episode one for the new brand and the rebranding of everything. I think at the end of the day, I wanted to get Authentic You started, make sure I was personally interested and invested in it, and at this point we're going to run it. And so I'm super excited to welcome you onto the very first one in the new studio.
I'm honored. I'm honored. Appreciate you, Joe, man. You're a big inspiration to me, bro. Anything I can do to support, just to pull up, be authentic, have some fun, talk about some good stuff, bro. I'm excited to
Yeah.
be here.
And you just finished like a 12, 13 hour shift.
Yeah, bro. I did. I work. I'm a knock shifter, so I work from 7 p to 7 a. Yeah, I am in the medical field. I mean, I work. We work graveyard. I'm at Corona Regional. I'm at Kaiser, so I'm in your ICU. Don't come visit me. But yeah, bro, we do our due diligence in the medical field, and me and Joe met here at the gym. We do our due diligence, pumping iron, trying to stay healthy, trying to
boy.
lead the way in the health field. So either way, at work or off, bro, we're getting it in. We're getting the money for sure.
That boy. And Ray, I always do a horrible job of this. Usually I end up going all the way to the end, and then I tell people, "Oh, where they can they follow you?"
Okay,
And
okay.
not everybody always goes through the
Remembers?
full
Okay.
60 or 90-minute podcast. So
sure.
as we get started,
Okay.
why don't you tell people where they can find you?
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll jump into a little bit of an introduction, just overall about who you are, what you do, some of your passions, stuff like that. But where can people find you?
For sure. Full name is Raekwon Simmons. On Instagram, primarily, it's just the Ray it is. Underscores are in between the words. TikTok is going to be the same thing. And that's usually my primary social media handles. Email is my first and last name at yahoo.com for personal inquiries, but you can always contact me on social media. Just the Ray it is, underscores in between. And yeah, that's basically my social media handle.
Okay.
For the most part.
Cool. So you and I met at the gym,
Yeah.
which is I'm glad to say I'd say about half of the guests that I've had have been from the gym. The other half are
Nice.
other business and stuff like that.
Nice.
But what was fun was I think you and I, if I remember this correctly, and tell me if I go wrong here at any point, but we were both on the treadmill or around the treadmill, and I got off, complimented you, you complimented me, and then we started kind of just talking about
Yes.
life.
Yes.
And I think it's unique that people meet each other, at certain points. And I think you and I were talking just about our fitness journey, and you were prepping for a show.
Yep.
And
I look like it now, but I was at the time.
no, you're still ripped,
I
brother.
appreciate it.
Yeah. You're so let's talk about that point in time in your life. So what made you decide that you were going to prep and do a show?
So, people, when you're exercising, you're working out, a lot of people see potential in you, and it's nice when people can give you the flowers as you're alive and as you're breathing and as you're well. So people would always tell me like, dude, you should do a show, dude, you should work out, because they see the genetic aspect, right? And you look at someone like Joe with his frame, and he's had quite a journey that I'm sure he'll get to as well. But you look at people and you see the potential. So people kind of plant that seed in your head. And I just slowly, after a while, thank God for the people that have planted those seeds, because they grow. And as you believe in what others have instilled into you, you just kind of start to see that vision, and you start to dream, and you start to have it like a blueprint. So I said, maybe I'll get into it. So I'm already doing the work. I'm already, in the gym, just trying to be healthy, as anyone should. Competition is not for everybody. Don't hold yourself to that standard. But if you want to, go get it. But so I eventually just took on, what people would tell me, and just started to chip at it, made a plan, hired a coach, and just took things one day at a time. That's really all you have. And yeah, after a while, after months of consistency, you start seeing some changes, you start getting excited. And then eventually, yeah, I booked my show. I did my very first show in July. I competed in Anaheim. I competed in the men's classic physique. I did do true novice, and I did do open. So I placed okay. I was second in true novice, and then I did fourth in the open. So first time around, natural. I was really proud of that. So it's just taking things one day at a time, and yeah, and initiating that consistency was how I got that going, for sure.
And for people who might not know, what is true novice? What does that mean?
True novice is the very first time you're a true rookie. If you watch college, you're true rookie. You hadn't been around, you hadn't read, so this is your first time up ever. So that's what that is. And then they have novice, which is like you've done it, but you didn't quite win, so you can do it again. You're still in the newer class, sophomore sort of vibes. But yeah, true novice is like true rookie for sure.
Okay. And so now that you've done one, and we're saying roughly 6 months ago, right?
Yeah,
And you're
yeah.
still training, you're still
Yeah.
putting in that work.
Yeah.
Is there a goal for you to go back and do it in 2024?
Yeah, dude. There is. Along the fitness journey, like the biggest thing that I learned about myself is when you are prepping for something that's so intense, as in sculpting your body. There's a lot of things that you no longer realize that you do. Like alcohol becomes limited for those that drink. Certain vices that you kind of used to do, that you used to consume, are kind of eradicated. You have to deal with the raw self of yourself. Like you have to deal with you in its most raw, vulnerable state, as calories are dropping, water is kind of slowly depleting as you get closer to shows. You're stripping yourself from the pleasures that you knew, maybe you even took for granted. So you have to deal with yourself in a raw sense. And I liked it because it was a form of therapy too, in a sense. So
Yeah.
and it gave me incentive, because when you get to that finish line, you finally can look in yourself and see the work you put in, but you can really say on a mental level, I'm really proud of this guy. You know what I mean? So I needed that as I deal with self-esteem issues, probably like a lot of other people, but we all work on it. It's a lot of self-affirmations I needed. So when you get to that point, you're on stage, it's a proud moment for yourself, regardless of how you place. It's a proud moment. So to do that again, it's like winning the championship, because again, regardless where you placed, you're a winner. So if you do it again, it's like, here we go. I got one ring. Do I stop or do I keep going? So you have to. It's a new challenge, because now you have, new PRs, new frame goals and things, like new things to work on. I knew what I needed to work on. Now off season, I get to implement that. And, insert some more calories, work out a certain way. You get to like fine tune and then see it again. Strip the weight again, and you get to play that back and forth game. So it's a journey, bro. So what I mean, it's a marathon. One show doesn't define you, one season doesn't define you, but it's a journey. And I think everybody should have a goal of some similar fitness goal, rather it be stage, rather it just be weight, body fat, whatever it is. Set you a goal, see how close you can get, hit the blueprint again, and try it again.
Yeah, and I think that goes into a lot of aspects of life in general. Is even if it's not fitness or anything like that, right? You might have like a certain goal of becoming a doctor or a lawyer, or a certain like business goal or something of that nature. And the reality is it's really in the journey that you become a winner. And I have a saying that I say all the time is winners win. And it really means that, like, at the end of the day, you only lose if you quit, or you only, don't benefit from that journey if you just stop. And so a lot of people will announce that they have a goal that they want to work on or hit. Like, your goal wasn't to get first place necessarily. Your goal was to just go and do a competition. And so you won in the process of doing that. And now you've learned and added knowledge to your tool belt that can never be taken away. Right.
Absolutely.
And then even, like what you said, is you're making a commitment, you're making all these sacrifices, whether it's drinking or diet or going out or hanging out with certain people. And I saw you like through that journey.
Yeah, you did.
And it was kind of cool because I saw you start to there were also people that all of a sudden you started pulling up with you. Like beforehand, I don't know that I saw you bringing a ton of people into the gym with you, but as you were doing your competition, I noticed all of a sudden, like cousins, friends, brothers, like stuff like that. Like we're coming with you, and all of a sudden they're studying and they're learning, and you're teaching them things, and they might not have the same goal as you, right, to do a competition. But just in the journey of you doing it, you all of a sudden brought people up with you.
That's beautiful. And that's so true, Joe. Let me tell you something about life in general. Like, you're either going to conform to others or they're going to conform to you. You know what I mean? You're either going to manage your life or life is going to manage you. You're going to manage your health or health is going to manage you. So you might as well take life by the horns. You might as well just do that thing right. And yeah, the right people will come around you. That's essentially going back to how me and Joe met. So we've seen each other in the gym. Joe's one of the strongest people you'll ever meet. If you haven't seen this guy work out, he don't play. He don't play. You can tell he's in there. He's sincere. He means business. And guess what? I like that. There's no hate in me. I don't understand how people can really envy other people in the gym. I love it. That motivates me personally when I see that, because I know that he's in there with a purpose. He's intentional about what he's doing. That means he cares. I love that. So yeah, I gravitated towards Joe, and we had an opportunity to speak on the treadmill. We started talking about life. It wasn't even just the weights. It was business. Yes, I expressed my admiration for what he's doing, and then he showed me his fitness journey, and that'll blow your mind if you haven't. This dude's a beast through and through. But that kind of, it did I gravitated towards Joe just to learn, just to see where his mind was going, where his heart is, where his knowledge is. And yeah, and two minds think alike, and we had a lot to we had a lot of common things among each other. So yeah, people that I brought in, they're just trying to better themselves in life. And guess what? That's the crowd that I want around me. I don't care where you are. I don't care how sophisticated you are, how much you own. If you have the desire just to do better, you know what I mean? That's good company. You know what I mean? Just to do better in life. I want people that want to do better because we all don't have it figured out. But, if you have that desire just to, take one step. And guess what? One of the best things that you can do that you have the control over, because sometimes life will throw things that you don't have any control over. Being in the medical field, I can tell you that. But you do have control over your health while you are upright. So, for us in there, I look at everybody in there like, they woke up with intention. They want to be better today, not tomorrow, not the day. They have today, and they're taking advantage of today. Just 1% better every day is what I tell people. So that's a good company. Yeah, bro. My little brother. I got friends. I got one of my best buddies. He now joins me. He's been consistent for about 6 months. You see him,
Yep.
my boy Rob. So yeah, we're getting it in, bro. His body fat's dropping, and I love to see it. That's what puts the biggest smile on my face, is to see other people win, and that's the medicine we all need. Pun not intended, nursing. But, you know what I mean.
No, but you know what? That is actually medicine for the soul in general, is helping people. I'll just tell you like a personal story. Like I do remember a point in time in my life, and this was before I started in fitness and my health journey and stuff like that, where like I really thought like my purpose was like just money and business and like be number one in everything that I do. And like there was like an aggression standpoint to that. And like really what it was just nasty ego. And honestly, it really wasn't until I dropped that ego and realized that by me being a resource to people, whether it's conversation or, supporting their goals or investing in them however I can, or connecting them with people that might be an investment opportunity for them personally to grow mentally and whatever. It wasn't until that time that I honestly started feeling like I had purpose in my life. You know what I mean? I mean, past my kids and stuff like that. But like you start to have, when you help people with no intention of getting something in return, and you just offer whatever it is, whatever you have to give with like an open heart, man, that is when life changes for you. And I feel like it actually, that positive energy attracts more positive energy. And like, sometimes I feel like I'll run into people like how we met, and it happens to me all the time where I'm like, I think the only reason I was able to meet this person was because I had no ego. And I was willing to listen to what they were talking about, be open-minded to who they are, learn something from them. Maybe they'll learn something from me. And it's just like a weird period of time in everyone's life. And I think maybe it's like again, drop the ego. Maybe it's a maturity thing. I don't know what it is, but not everybody has it. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of people that are mature, that are in like their 40s, 50s, and they've got this like ego that just like crowds and blocks opportunities for them to just be a resource to each other.
I think you hit it right on the money, bro, when you said purpose. When you consider purpose, you have to consider yourself being of service. And when you're of service, you have to be selfless. So for people like you that have put themselves to the side, their ego, whether you're a narcissistic individual, whether you're just a selfish individual, when you put yourself to the side and you get into the act of service, that's when people benefit, right? Because we all need help in some sort of way. Regardless of how much you have or you think there's always somebody that's been through a little different experience and that knows a little more. So you got to humble yourself and be receptive. And I think once you operate in purpose, things just kind of fall together for you in a weird, faithful way, right? It just kind of falls together. So I think by doing that, you will connect with the right people because you're in the right mentality with the right heart. So absolutely, Joe, I that was a key word out of that. You said purpose. I was like, yeah, that's right on money. Right on money with that.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is, once you've mastered that, you're not afraid to also every so often, not necessarily showboat or showcase your overall skills, but you're also not, you're not afraid of people judging that, however they're going to take it, because you don't have that intention, right? I think it's a big difference. And I've noticed this before where like I might post a lift and I'm super aggressive and I have an ego and I'm talking shit. This is years ago, versus when I put something out there to just show people, this is what I train for. I go into there because I want to be healthy. I want to be strong. I want to be able to provide. And I need to show you guys that if I'm talking about something and I'm dedicated to something, here's the result of that. And now if someone takes that success and they think I'm putting it out there as ego, then unfortunately for them, it's because they're not happy with where they're at in their life.
Right.
Versus the other people, and I notice this big difference when I post some type of win, whatever it is, business, family, gym, anything, mindset. other people will be like, damn right. You know what I mean? Because they're like, they've seen the journey, or they respect the fact that I'm humble enough to keep it quiet, but bold enough to put it out there to remind people this is why. This is part of the end goal. You know what I mean?
I love that, man.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I love that. And I think as men, right, if we want to talk about just being men, I think there has to be, and I need to do better at this, I ain't gonna lie to you. There needs to be a level of confidence, not to intimidate, but to motivate, but to also just as a man have a firm backbone and just to present yourself, to be assertive, to show the world that you mean business, not to be a pushover. But there's just that fine line of not being super cocky or arrogant in a manner, but being confident. There's a difference, you know what I mean? Someone that's just showing off these things just to be flashy, just to, you know what I mean? As opposed to someone that's showing you in confidence, but also with that open hand to help you get to where they are. There's a difference.
Oh, for sure.
So you need that structure. You need that firmness. At the same token, you don't want to be too flimsy. You want to have some confidence. And every man, I will say that again, every man should have some sort of confidence that if it's not there, we need to address how to get there. And one of the best ways to get there is to work on yourself, because you have control over that. So health is very much key. You just have to have that mirror to visual affirmation to say, I'm proud of this man that I'm reflecting right now, that I'm seeing change, that I am changing. Nobody can change you. No one can change your physique but you. You can do things to modify it, but at the end of the day, you got to put in that work. Whether you enhance or not, you still need to put in work regardless. So, you know what I mean? That's key, bro. Confidence is key. That's a big point in what you just said.
Yeah. I think going back to like men in general, it's been interesting over the last few years. And I think it actually, I've tried to like pull back, like where did this kind of start? And I know I'm definitely not political in that aspect to like bring stuff like that up. But I noticed like right around that whole like Me Too movement, when all of that was happening, you know, there was that big push where like being a man somehow became a little bit almost like unimportant, and like you shouldn't be bold and you shouldn't be assertive and you shouldn't have those strengths and attributes. And if you did, then maybe you were pulled back a little bit, or you were putting yourself too much out there. And so that I think lasted for several years. And I think, and then 2020 kind of happened, and 2021, 22. I think like the last 2-3 years though, it's really kind of made a comeback where it's like, okay, hold on. We somewhere along the lines, men forgot how to be men. And there's a lot of levels to be a true man. And I think to be a true man, you hit it, where you have to first mentally get yourself in the right state of mind. And as men, we're usually afraid to talk about our emotions, our weaknesses. We're afraid to talk about our immaturities. We're definitely afraid to talk about our sexual habits and our feelings about that. And I think what's funny is like, if you talk to enough guys, and this has happened to me recently, where like guys want to have like, everyone calls it like guy talk. I don't think it's guy talk. I think what it is guys are trying to feed the ego in themselves.
Talk about it.
You see what I'm saying?
Making sense.
And then it just takes one man in the group though to go, hey,
you know what?
I don't think this is appropriate. We're talking about it this way. Let's talk about it this other way. And let's talk about women in this fashion. And let's talk about work in this fashion. Let's talk about our families in this fashion. And I think it's interesting because men stop being boys in that conversation. And they actually become men, and they go, you know what, you're right. I should be thinking about it this way. I should be acting this way. I should be doing this. And it's hard to be a man with emotion. It's hard to be a man who wears your heart on the sleeves and shows that you're compassionate, and you know what I mean?
This is heavy stuff you're talking about. I mean, he on point with it too. If I can chip in, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, man. This feels like in this day and age in society, maybe in the past, you're right. It's absolutely taboo for men to really come out and express their feelings. You know, it was. You have to, have this role or this idea of being strong, and being strong is not complaining, not expressing how they feel. And guess what? That's a toxic setup in itself. Men, we are all very much human, and as pressure builds, if there's no outlet, it's just going to be a catastrophic event. And I think the most authentic relationships come from just being transparent.
Yeah.
So as the more you are transparent, the more, like Joe just gave in that example, not conforming to the macho and manliness as men talk, quote unquote, right? Being the difference maker and being okay with that. You have to let others conform to you, and you'll slowly people will gravitate to your mentality, to your transparency. So it's nice just to be authentic 100% of the times, because people will slowly come on. You know what? I'm having this issue too. You know what? I agree with what you're saying. How can we fix this? You start getting to the resolving mindset, rather than just the playing this, or, wearing this hat, wearing this mask. You know what I mean? You start getting to the raw things.
Yeah.
And those are the relationships that I crave. You know what I mean? That's why I connect with people like Joe, because it was from day one authentic, very humble, and just being able to talk about any and everything on the past, on the passing by with Joe. We would always chop it up, and even our short conversations were always authentic. So having time with this guy, it's just an example of how transparency can lead to bigger and better relationships that are meaningful. For people that feel like they don't have a lot of meaningful relationships, ask yourself, how authentic are you?
Yeah.
Right. And are you conforming to others around you? Or do you get the chance to talk and deal with the raw you among other people? No, those are your people.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah. And obviously with social media and like just, I think today's day and age technology in general, like things you put out there really don't go away. And you see people get blasted for stuff all the time that they might've said 10, 15 years ago. And there's definitely things I know that I've said or done 10, 15 years ago that I would look at myself today and be like, what a fool, and so I'm very forgiving to people about mistakes that they've made in the past, as long as they understand, or you try to teach them or help them or guide them or express your opinion if they're willing to listen. And I always say that because, to be honest, most people's opinions aren't totally valuable, because they might only have a small exposure to who you are and what you're doing, but when I have conversations with my closest friends, guy friends, always it is a very authentic conversation. They're not afraid to give me, to correct me when I say something, and they're like, dude, that's not appropriate, or hey, you shouldn't be thinking like that, or hey man, let me give you a little bit of advice. And those are the type of relationships you definitely want. Now, talking about social media, definitely what ends up happening is we will see something like scrolling, and you'll see it and you'll listen to it and you're like, that's funny, it sounds good. Right. And there's been times I've even like, boom, right away reshared. And then I rewatch it later, even in the day, and I'll be like, is that actually how I think? Or is that just, did I just get like clickbaited? You know what I mean? And so I think it is kind of interesting. Like guys, like we do have a very like quick mindset, and we get kind of clickbaited into stuff, or we can get pulled in a completely different direction for what's important to us in a heartbeat of a second.
I think that is one of the greatest downfalls of people, is distraction. There's so many things. Let me tell you something. After you've dealt with death so much, there's so many times that I've witnessed family, express their feelings and thoughts and have these conversations at the end of another family member's life, and basically saying like a lot of the things that they said and dealt was childish and senseless. And as time is very precious, they regret a lot of the stupid little things that may have transpired. And it just shows us that the more we get distracted with our own emotions of what's going on, the short-term things, the more we're taken away from where we should be going. And the time because time is a gift. Every day is a gift. Your health, your upright, your mental, your mindset, your sanity, all these things are blessings in a sense. And that's kind of what got me going with Steadfast, not to kind of throw in there, but to be unwavering means you have to have a locked in mentality. And to have that, you have to eliminate distractions and focus on the task at hand. So to be unwavering, to be steadfast, to be persistent. These are all key factors into becoming the individual that you want, to going to succeeding, whether it be academic, whether it be businesses, to your desires. You have to be unwavering and persistent. Yeah. So that's very key, bro. Eliminating distractions. And I think the more you do so, find you some form of meditation, really lock in on what you want. You'd be amazed how much ground you cover in a short period of time. So keys to success. I'm
glad you brought up the Steadfast, because I will tell you this, like, obviously I love seeing your brand and seeing it grow. And, I can't remember when you had told me about it, but I literally was like, steadfast. And it kept like burning in my brain. Then I think at some point in time, like I do those early morning walks and I'll like post a quote. And I literally, all I did was take steadfast and take the definition and post it. And so it is interesting, like just in general, how sometimes people don't realize a word that is within our dictionary that has been
There.
maybe put out for years because for whatever reason, we've as a community, we've grown apart to like more simplest life, and how some of these words are so valuable, and we just need to, if you just pick some of these, like you said, I said purpose earlier, you know what I mean?
Spoke volumes.
One word
Yeah.
can completely change the way that you live your life.
Boy, the magnitude of things, absolutely right. And that just goes back down to just slow things down. You know, I think once you master the basics, that's a great recipe. When you master the basics, you're on to something great. You know, doing every little thing with great effort and mastering the small things, that creates this formula, that creates this mindset, this individual. So even with the things that's applicable in our life, even the words that we speak, when you just rightly divine the things that we meditate on, whether it be a scripture, whether it be a quote, whether it be just taking your time, breathe, and just dissecting every little thing, meditation and things like that. Really important for men's mental health, because it's a lot of pressure on us out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Many men do different things, and each one of us can share that common denominator of the stress that life throws at us. So for sure, I encourage that, slow things down, like Joe said, just really, really rightly divine the things that you preach, the things that you go by, your set of morals, your set of standards, things like that. Slow it down, meditate on those things, and that's a big part of health that I think is not emphasized, is mental health. That's one of the highly undiagnosed things that I deal with is the mental health of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and obviously being in the medical field,
Oh yeah.
I mean, you see tons of things, and you had brought up a little bit about death and family passing and things of that nature. I'd love to understand, do you think that part of your maturity and your humbleness personally comes from your job and seeing potentially death very frequently and or people's health deteriorating very quickly? What does kind of like that day to day look like for you?
Man, it's a daily growing process, dude, and it is true. The more I deal with just the dying population, and the more that I know what I know science based wise, that I know how a lot of that is so preventable. I have this heart that mourns slowly, and being able to reach out to people and get a hold of them, get a hold of their mind, so that they can change their life, so that they can implement longevity. That you have to have a certain level of maturity to talk. This is life. It doesn't get any more mature than talking about your health, being available for your family, for your loved ones, because you have a certain standard of health. It doesn't get any more mature than that. So when you deal with people and I'm talking to a variety, a population variety from 80s on down, and people triple my age. So I'm having to deal with and teach people of that age all the way down. So you have to be able to be flexible and be able to have certain authentic conversations. So yeah, I slowly mature each and every day as I mourn, and as I leave the hospital, I want to do my part to make sure that I'm not a statistic of the dying population that didn't take heed to their health. And I also want to implement my knowledge and give some insight to people, whoever want to listen, on how to purchase life. I tell people the gym is the best way to purchase life, as life is priceless, and it was given to us. That's a way to purchase it, by taking care of your health viscerally and physically and all of the above. So absolutely, bro, as I deal with that stuff, it humbles me. You know what I mean? And I leave my job with purpose. These are all words that we've been saying. I leave my job with intent, because I know I can't take it for granted. I'm too close to it. I've tagged too many toes. I've zipped up. I've made the call at a corner too many times to understand that life is a vapor and you can't take it for granted. So
Yeah.
It does every day. I'm still growing. I'm still a baby, but I'm still growing. But I'm definitely grateful for my experiences, and I want to implement my love to my children and my family, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very intimate thing too, to be in a industry where you're seeing death on a daily basis, or even just on a weekly basis.
Last night, 4 or 5 hours ago.
Yeah, see, I have I've posted it a few times, but I have a tracker that I literally, it's all my life in a week. So, or like,
Is that the dot thing?
That's the dot one. Yeah. So what it is it's basically just a giant board, and it has 52 squares across the board, and it goes from year one being born all the way down to the average lifespan, which I think is like 75 or 78.
I've seen that.
And so every Friday, because I was born on a Saturday, right? So every Friday I go to the square and I check it off, and I just think, Did I do what I said I was going to do?
That's crazy. I love that.
Did I do something this week that was like intentional, purposeful?
Yeah.
Did I encourage somebody? Was I aggressive with somebody that I need to apologize to? Did I make a mistake this week that, I should go back on? Because I really don't know if I'm going to check that next week box, right? Like I can get a car accident. Something could happen to me.
You talking right now.
And so you're seeing it physically every single, day or week. I'm just reminding myself every week. I wonder how much it would change if people honestly all started tracking that.
I'm telling you, when I seen the video, when I seen you posting, and you zoom out, and I seen all the dots on how and then I kind of put that together as far as the life expectancy, so to speak. I seen that, and I'm telling you, I spaced out when you posted often too. I kind of spaced out like, dang, life is really moving. It's waiting for no one, and to be able to dot that and to say the things that you said. I hope someone listens to what you said over again. That was so key, bro. Just being able to reflect, especially the apologetic side of what you just said. Who did I offend? Oh, that's a humble mentality, bro. That's gold, what you just said right there. But just to have that reflection, what have I done? You got to be able to debrief is what we would say. Like, what transpired? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Where am I going? Am I going somewhere? Because motion is everything. I don't care how slow or how fast you're going. Motion is motion. And as long as you got some motion, we moving, baby. That's good. So that's volume, bro.
I think it's appreciation. And when you start realizing how lucky you are, I don't know that a lot of people wake up and go, fuck, thank God, I'm alive today. And I get it. I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's Thursday and I need to go to work. And you know what I mean? They downplay stuff versus look at all the positive. I definitely am more of an optimist now. I don't think I was for a long time, but I think now, like I wake up and even when things are going horribly wrong, like, just a shit storm of stuff, I'll look at it and just be like, there's something in here. Let me find it. And then when I find it, I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to ride through this wave, through this storm. Like it's going to be fine. And that's the thing. No matter what, no matter how bad something's going, eventually you get through it. I mean, you're not, unless you give up again, like that champion mentality.
That's that mental fortitude right there. I like that.
I don't know of any person I've ever talked to who wouldn't tell me about something bad that's happened to them in their life. Everybody has something bad that's happened to them in their life. And then they also don't have the next side of it where they made it through. Well, like what changed? What happened? How did you come out of it? And sometimes, rarely, you'll find someone who's in the dump, who is literally going through it. And then I always just think of it as, oh, well, maybe I'm supposed to say something to them or do something that's going to help get them out of it. I feel like it's like a purposeful thing. Like God's like, hey,
word. That's that word.
Yeah. Like, hey, man, you were put in here in this exact moment at this exact time because this person needs some type of like light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to have to drop that for them right now. And I don't know that everybody has, I think most people want to help other people, but some people are very reluctant to do it when they have the opportunity. For whatever reason, I don't know what that is. Like some people are very dismissive. They can help someone, but they're very dismissive because they're like, maybe what am I going to get in return? And so it kind of goes back to like us just talking about like we're all supposed to just assist people. I mean, that's really like we're a community overall. Like we're on the same damn planet, same, like we're all the same species. Like we should just be able to support and help each other.
Let me tell you something, Joe. Like it's so important that men get together and have solid, authentic fellowship. Because let me tell you, I can say as being a man, often you feel you are invisible. You felt you are subjectified as if I am just an act of service. What a man doesn't provide, when he doesn't do things, then his appreciation it's diminished. And so people kind of take on that hurt, that trauma, and they carry it, whether they realize it or not, relationship to relationship. And some people carry that, I wasn't appreciated, mom, dad, sibling or spouse, whatever, that when that hurt, that trauma, then they are reluctant to kind of go out and do the extra and beyond for people because they're just trying to survive. They're just trying to keep themselves together. And it takes others who are doing well to open up, to be authentic, to be vulnerable, to crack that.
Yeah.
And that's how you break things down, break the walls down, break the guards down to really get to people. And that's the victory, being able to be authentic in that sense. So when you're living and you're operating, here's that word, when you're operating in purpose, that is when you get the best of people. And then going back to what you're saying too, I absolutely agree with regarding like the what were we talking about when you were saying brain fart?
It's all good.
What were we saying prior to
Living life and purpose, thinking about the week. Come back. Find it.
We'll come back to it. Don't worry
Nice,
about it.
nice.
Don't come back. We'll come back to it.
Hey, this is the beautiful part about being authentic and having good authentic podcasts.
Yeah.
Is it's just natural.
It
We won't
is.
cut it. That'll be in there, and we'll just be
It
like,
is.
shit. No, I'm just kidding. But look, man. I think all of us at the end of the day, like every person that I've ever like really had deep, meaningful conversations with, I think every single person always is. They're trying to find their way. I don't know that I've ever really had a conversation with someone and they're like, I have everything all figured out. And now, unless they're like being like completely fake about stuff.
So that's a dangerous place to be.
I don't know, but
It's a dangerous place to don't
I'm-
be there.
Maybe I'm lucky in the sense that like the people I hang out with and the people I bring into that circle have that mentality where they're like, no, there's work that has to be done.
There it is.
That actually might be part of it. Like I might push out people that think they're perfect. You know what I mean? Because I definitely like in at least in my businesses, there's definitely times where I've worked for other organizations or worked with certain people where I'm just like, how do you think that you have every answer? You know what I mean? And everything figured out. Like, why wouldn't you be open to just hearing another side? And now look, some people will give opinions or perspective on things and they are off base. Like there's factual ways to actually be like, let me show you why you're off base. But it's interesting how sometimes people are so certain that they have things figured out that you actually kind of get concerned for them. Like I'm like, I think you're actually a little lost, man.
And life has its way of humbling people at the perfect time. And I don't wish harm upon anybody, but when you are riding that high horse like that, life has a way of humbling you. And I think there's the confidence in others. Maybe someone like, look, let me just throw the gym in there, for example, someone who thinks they are strong and going, that, maybe they don't think they need to improve in any aspect. And they see a strong individual like Joe, who's not cocky, but he's confident and he's proper. Maybe they need that humble pill from people, and not to contrast, because comparison is a thief of life, but in a sense that sometimes you need to see like, oh, there is more to get. There is someone who's doing it better. You don't know you're touchable until you get touched. Every fighter shouldn't have that mentality of this guy's going to be a walk in the park, because guaranteed 9 times out of 10, that's when they take that L. Football teams, when they underestimate a certain defense or a certain team, it's the same sort of mentality of I got this, I don't need anything. Boom, guards are down, life hits you a certain way. So always keep yourself grinding, keep setting your goals higher and higher as you reach your milestones. Keep going and don't look back. I mean, if you do, smile at it, but keep going forward. Keep going for sure.
So talking about moving forward, so for you personally, like what are some of these next goals that you've got coming up that you're really focused on?
Joe inspired me with his men's clinic. I do want to engage in more into the community. Having a science background, I'm honored to be a registered nurse in the ICU. But I really want to dive deeper into preventing people from being in ICU in the first place. And by doing that, I know I can further my education. Nurse practitioner sounds really attractive, as I can help people in a variety of settings, and I can monitor the healthy crowds. I can kind of guide people, and obviously I have the work ethic, I believe, to change someone's physical behavior in terms of how they lift. I am accumulating my nutritionist license as well, so I can better come up with an actual diet plan to help people with their macros based off of what their goals are and their body type, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to be able to be that sort of health coach and be that tool in life. So education is huge, man. If you guys are out there, man, if you have an academic goal, do as Joe did, start some type of journal, start some type of tracking, and hold yourself accountable and get to that. So, and with that, I feel like something like a brand, my mind is not about making money. I don't have the largest followings, by the way, at Steadfast Society. But I have the right heart. And I feel like in time, people will see that, people will feel that. And that's how you gather a solid community. You have to have a solid meaning. Your brand has to stand for you, and you have to stand for the brand, and they need to be in symmetry. So I definitely feel like with the nurse practicing, and hopefully I can get to opening gyms and businesses and things. We'll see what the Lord has for me. But, these are goals that I can do. But first things first, I got to stay on my grind, keep doing the competitions as I'm telling people that things are very much achievable when you do. Put a plan into play and you execute. So fitness, gonna do another show, nurse practitioner for sure. I pray to grow my brand, put in some work, and really just do right by the community. I just want to be known as a tool in life. I don't want to be seen as competition, as anything else. Not Nurse Ray, not the dad in me, which is very big as well. But I want to just be seen as a health tool in every aspect too, because that's applicable to everybody. Your daughter, your mother, your uncle, it doesn't matter who it is. When you carry that hat, people respect you because that's what it's all about. It's all about it.
Yeah, I was going to say one thing I saw that you've done for the community, and I'd love to understand more, and or people who watch this can help participate. I saw that you had done something. I mean, I know you did that. I think it was a
walk.
Okay, so it was a walk.
Yeah. Heck yeah, dude. I love people. I will say that. I can't help it. People annoy me, but I love people to death. I can't help it. And I've dedicated my life in the nursing field to assisting people because that's just where my heart is, and I can't change that. But so I did. I participated in a walk. It was Best Buddies. It was a Best Buddy walk, and basically emphasizing the developmentally delayed crowd. So the movement was about including them. So we did a walk, we had signs, and if you look into the Best Buddies site, it talked about getting that community involved. So whatever, autism is just an example how an organization like that. Calls like that will get them employed, and then they can have meaning to their life. Because guess what? That's what we were talking about as we we're going back, just having meaning. These kids can wake up with a purpose. And like you were talking about people complaining about going to work, going to the gym, just being able to say that I can get it. I don't have to go to work today. I mean, I have to, but I don't have to. But I can. Because there's somebody that woke up and couldn't. Or they had a motor vehicle accident and now they can't. So being able to do it, and these kids, they were dealt a different card, and that doesn't take away from their significance or importance in life. So doing a movement like that and just seeing these sort of individuals involved in something like a normal thing like making your coffee. There's a Biddy and Bowes company that's doing really well. I went out there in Texas and I visit them as well. They have a coffee shop and it's ran by the developmentally delayed and special individuals. So they're ringing you up, they're talking to you, they're interacting. Guess what? They feel like a human. And it's just they're appreciative of the basics. So you as an individual, don't take that for granted. You can do so much more with your right mind and all that God gave you and your mental capacities. Why not stretch it? Yeah. So I did support that community, man. That's dope. I still will every year. I'll do it every year annually. So next spring you can follow me. You see, hey Ray, when are you doing that walk again? I'll do it in the spring for sure, man. That's routine for sure.
That's what some big brands should do. It's interesting because every big brand is always so driven on being part of like these like different movements and things like that. It's like, why don't we just go back to being human beings and being compassionate to people and realizing that, there are people that have limitations because of things that they can't control. Like legitimately they were born this way. And not to say their limitations are going to stop them from doing things, but the reality is they're judged from day one, and people create their own limitations for those individuals. And whether it's people with Down syndrome, autistic, whatever, people with missing limbs or, whatever their challenges are. And having like businesses actually have that and support, and like, it'd be funny to see like the angry barista that's like, oh my God, I got to make this person's fucking drink again versus the other person that's
skipping
like,
to do it.
Dude, like,
come on, bro.
I just got to wake up today. I'm at the coffee shop.
Bro.
Like, let me get it done.
Come on, bro. They ain't gonna miss no time either. They got perfect attendance because they're grateful. They're grateful for what they have, what they can do, what they're granted to do. Talking that talk, dude. I like that.
I'll tell you, I'm going to share like a little personal thing for me. I've been lucky enough in my life to grow businesses and to get to a certain point where, it's funny, but people look at the signature line and they're like, oh my God, right? Like this is coming. And they are always so shocked by like how humble I am when I'm there. And like when they start to be like, oh, you're like, they'll like people, some of my employees will be like, dude, I was scared to meet you. and cause and I just always look at them and I go, listen, I started as a freaking cashier in a parking booth, and I will never forget it. And I will remember every leader that I had that cared about that damn signature line too much. And they thought because of that, they were empowered to treat people a certain way. And I will never be that person.
We need more like you. That's so raw and true right there, bro. Just being humbled enough to say that I know what it takes. I know what it took for me to get to where I am. And now that you're, with that mentality, that interaction with your coworker,
Yeah.
dude, you planted something deep. That's probably going to be your next entrepreneur
Yeah,
because
for
of how you
sure.
affected his life.
Yeah.
And now his mentality has shifted.
Yep.
Now his limits, probably where he limited himself, that's something you
Yeah.
said earlier, is now it's higher than before. He's like, man, if this dude can relate to me and talk to me as if I'm just a peer rather than a superior, dude, you've done volumes. And guess what? Now his mentality might trickle on down. So that's how you affect the world. That's a world changer right there. So people like you, the hearts like you, the leaders like you, we appreciate. I definitely appreciate.
Yeah, no, for sure. It with my team, I always tell them it's very simple. Leaders just don't have. All you have to do is make sure you don't have an ego. Like if you have an ego and you're on my team, you're not going to be there for long.
About to be chopped
You're gone. Like there's definitely A players, B players, C players. I'm a big believer in having the best team possible, and so I want A players.
Yes, sir.
I want the best team possible. But if I have somebody who's a C player, my goal is to try to make them an A player. And if if they can't, then my job is to guide them onto a different path, because it's not fair to them for me to have an expectation here, then they're never going to be able to get there. And it's not fair to them. So I try to help guide them into the right direction. But along that journey, I make sure the rest of my leadership team goes, that doesn't mean you have ego about it. That doesn't mean that just because you're capable of being an A player and that person's only capable of ever being a B player, that they're less than you. They're going to be an A player somewhere else. Our goal is to get them to where that's going to be. And then our other goal is to make sure our team is as strong as humanly possible. So that way the company can continue to grow and more opportunities can come up, and we can raise up those B players to A players by investing time into them and training and giving more properties and opportunities. But yeah, most leaders, they fail because they have this business practice of focusing on financials first. I think the secret's very easy. If you take care of your people take care of your clients, guests, patients, whatever they are. And if you take care of those people, they take care of the business financially. But everyone works on it backwards.
Cycle.
Everyone works on it back. It all starts with the people. It all starts with your team and creating that environment for them.
That's, man, you talking in every business. I think that's applicable. Believe it or not, in the health field too. A lot of these hospitals wouldn't get paid if customer service, if the patients don't reflect that they were served, they were neglected, things of that nature. They survey these things, and hospitals get paid off of that. So you're absolutely right. I think probably one of the common examples is Chick-fil-A. People always talk about their service and that sort of style of catering to the people and actually meaning their hellos and just being genuinely kind. People are loyal to come back because they like that sort of service. So that mentality is actually really spot on, Joe.
It doesn't hurt that their egg white grill.
Fire. Yes,
sir. Just
yes,
bomb. That thing is, the macros on that, 290
it's not
calories.
Bad. I'll be counting that, bro.
Yeah.
Some of the chicken on there, I think, for like a 12 piece, it's not that bad, bro.
Yeah.
A couple 30, I think 30 carbs or something like that, or less. But anyways, bro, that's one of my favorite spots. That and In-N-Out. But anyways, not on the fast food. Make sure y'all prep y'all meals.
Yeah.
But anyways, bro.
You know what though? It is kind of cool that there's like certain restaurants and places that you can go that like they you can legit meal prep through their stuff. Like, I mean, to be honest, Chipotle is not a bad source. High sodium, but again, if you're okay with that and you have that opportunity. When I was doing my last cut, I would go to Chili's. And actually I would just get their steak and veggie side, and it was like perfect because like the macros were all accurate and like everything, or their little chicken Santa Fe, whatever it was. Like, so you just have to find those places that like legitimately have the macros listed on their sites, so you can just. And
you know what though, on that topic, I think people don't really realize that those sort of places are viable options, is because they don't diet with a purpose. You can either eat for a purpose, as in you have a goal, or you can eat for pleasure. Now, you can combine the two to a degree, but for the most part, it's one or the other. You're going to either eat with intent. I'm eating this way because I want to look this way, because I'm not desperate, but I'm motivated. I'm determined. And then you can eat for pleasure because you're coping with stuff, and that's when food becomes a drug. It can become medicine or it can become drug, depending on how you consume it. So that's key to longevity as well. So if you're constantly just eating for pleasure, I want to order this, oh, this is going to taste good, then yeah, you're gonna look a certain way. You're not going to see the nutritional values to things. But like you said, you can go to many places and get a solid choice of protein with some solid micronutrients and salads and things of that nature, and be A-okay. And you got it from a place that you wouldn't even think. So absolutely. But to do that, you got to look at the labels. You got to, think before you just act. Right? Don't be impulsive. Take your time. Consume the right things. And yeah, you can make the best out of nothing.
Yeah, it's funny because like our generation's been blessed with a lot of technology and a lot of resources and a lot of things. I think the one disadvantage we have that nobody really does talk about a lot is the nutritional side of things. Obviously,
that's true.
Being somebody who was 400 pounds at one point in time, I can tell you, like, looking around, like, that is a big purpose, like a big reason of why I became so big was because of this ease of access.
Man.
You know what I mean? Like,
talk about that
to fast food and things.
Can you tap into that mentality of like when you were that heavy?
Oh, for sure.
What were you going through in life? Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah,
about?
well, what was actually happening was, so I went from being a 19-year-old drug addict who had 2 overdoses.
That's crazy.
To then I switched and got clean, and I was like, I'm going to focus on work. And I was traveling during that period of time. I was living in Northern California. And so I focused so much on work that my health really took the back seat.
Absolutely.
And so I would just, I wouldn't wake up, wouldn't eat breakfast, would go to work from, 7 to 5 p.m., get off, come home, eat freaking like Chinese food out of a bowl. Like I would get like the 3-4 sides and just like throw it onto a bowl, eat that real quick. Or even worse, like leading right before I started losing weight was my MO was I would actually eat through the day. So I was already eating a lot of meals. But then at night, right before I had to drive home from LA, I would literally go to Jack in the Box. And I'm not kidding. This was my order. Okay. We're place this order.
What would Jack in the Box?
Yeah. This was my order. I would get the ultimate cheeseburger special.
Okay.
Large fries, large Coke.
Everything big.
Spring rolls and 4 tacos.
This is not nightly.
Yes.
No.
This was like 4 or 5 nights a week. At least, I mean, if somebody does the math on it, at least like 6,000 calories in a meal.
Smacking it.
Smacking it on the drive home, watching Netflix on the phone, like just sitting in traffic.
Hey, buddy was vibing.
It was bad.
Okay.
Bad. And so at some point in time, like obviously I got to that marker where I was like, man, like I'm fat, right? And I had to make the mental choice to like choose to diet. And my primary care doctor did my blood work, did all that stuff, and he was just like, "Oh, you're pre-diabetic, like I'm borderline."
So can I stop you?
Sure.
Did you before you went to the doctor, did you feel yourself declining, or what made you get to that point? Like, man, I'm big.
Well, it was really the doctor's appointment because I had an ego. Okay. So I actually thought, I weighed 400 pounds. I was in the gym. So at that point, I did start working out.
You are big, yeah. You're strong.
So I literally thought like I'm a heavy lifter, like strong man type of and I'm bolder and bigger than all I was just a boulder. It was weight moving weight. It was mass moving mass. Okay. That was it.
We see that too, bro.
For sure.
We see that at the gym, and you can relate.
For sure. I was not strong. I was mass. You know what I mean? At that point in time. And so anyway, like when I did my blood work and all that, like he'd come back and he just was like, he laid into me and was just like, boom, facts. You're going pre-diabetic, cholesterol pills. You know what I mean? And then I just asked the simple question. And so this is where I'm saying, like, we as a society, this generation, this is our one and only disadvantage. I asked the question, what could I do about it? And he just looked at me, and he's a primary care doctor, but he's not a nutritionist. Okay.
Right.
So he's just like, well, you need to start by taking these pills. So I'm like, okay, I obviously need to. So I'm going to your point, yes, I'm going to do what you say. Then I asked the other important question. What if I lost 100 pounds? And he but short laughed at me. And I said, what if I lose 60 pounds? Like what I was trying to figure out, what was the threshold to take me off the pills? And he didn't have an answer for me. I'm like, dude, aren't you, if you're putting me on this, he's like, no, you're going to be on this for the rest of your life.
Oh, wow.
And so that was my that was my tipping point to where I was like, he doesn't fucking know. And he doesn't know, and it's my body, then it's now my job to figure that out. And also my kids are young. At that point in time, my dad had just had some heart issues. My grandma had just passed away from blood blockage in her veins. My sister was unfortunately, she's now passed. She passed at 41 because of heart issues. But at that point in time, she was already being diagnosed with a decaying heart. And so I went home and I was like, I'm about to be any one of those three.
You like baseball?
You see
you
what
on deck.
Yeah, I'm up to base. So what am I going to do about it? So I had to educate myself on nutrition overall, and it's crazy. We are fucked as a generation right now on nutrition because
the convenience
factor, of everything. And I'm not going to say who, but a couple of people in my family, they love to spend money every night on Cane's, Chick-fil-A, Panda Express, McDonald's, you know what I mean? And it's like, dude, just stop at the supermarket. Grab a freaking thing of steak.
It's not convenient.
It isn't convenient, but if you really think about it, the time
it's not that bad. Nah, you can get
if you go to sit in the drive-through of any major, like one of those more popular ones, like it's gonna be 10-15 minutes. So that's the same amount of time that it would have taken you to grab the
stretch
food.
those legs.
So the only difference is the time to cook it. That's it. And most meals, I'll tell you, most healthier meals, like most of the meals I eat, I can cook those things within 7 to 15 minutes. I don't know. I mean, probably baking chicken is the only thing that takes the longest. But if I grab a wok, I cut up the chicken, I throw it in that thing. I could have chicken and rice and carrots and
more than one meal.
Yeah, for more than one meal in less than 5 minutes.
And it's crazy. I think that's key, bro. I think people don't want to take the time to make the steps.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's everything you just said. Getting out of the car, going to the, to the section, the meat department to get the meat, and to buy it, and to come home and then to cook it, clean up. It's steps to it. But guess what? That's all it's all an investment.
Yeah.
Into the betterment of your life.
Yeah.
And that's key, bro. And that goes back to just being steadfast. When you only do those things when you have, there's that word, we have a purpose. You know you want to do something. You have this goal to do it. It doesn't matter the steps. You're going to do them because you really desire that end goal.
Yeah.
So when you're living out here, with no vision, no dreams, no purpose, you perish.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's the key. So these little things that you're saying, people need to take heed of. Like, man, and I hope somebody watches and to say, you know what, let me go to the store at least 3 times, eat McDonald's just 3 times less, just cut out just a little less, and to try to make the steps. And guess what? If you do something long enough, it becomes habit.
Yeah.
Right. People crave because they constantly eat that stuff. Right? You crave what you do. You crave what you eat. You guess what? You eat a bunch of candy and sugar and fast food all the time. That's what your body knows. That's what it's going to crave. But if you create yourself a schedule, it is scientifically proven that your hormones will adjust, right, to the times that you eat in the matter of what you eat. You drink enough water, that's exactly what you're going to crave. You eat enough salad and you eat the right protein. When you get to that hunger, that phase, and you're working out and you're training properly, that is what you're going to crave. And that is a healthy snowball effect.
Yeah.
Not the other way, because the other way leads to life. This snowball is going the right way. So that is definitely the key, bro. Taking the steps. Don't take no shortcuts. I don't care what they try to sell you out there. No shortcuts. Do things the right, proper way, and you'll get to where you want to be, what you want to do.
Yeah.
All of the above.
I also think eliminating the out is important. And so I'll give you an example. Like I do like to cook dinner. Like I think, and a lot of times whatever I cook for dinner.
Hey, men get down, by the way. I don't think we get down. We really the grill and we really the kitchen masters. I don't want to start a fight. Female get all sensitive about it.
No,
men can really throw down. I think we really like that.
I think it's because we like to create, and like cooking is kind of a way of creation, So,
it is.
But what I noticed is with like the Anaheim clinic, like I started getting home later and later and later. And like usually what would end up happening was like I would start dinner at like 5:30. Well, now I'm not getting home until like 6:30.
Okay.
So like that hour, it was starting to become, when we opened in July, it was starting to become a little bit of an issue where I'm like, we were stopping to get food. And even if I'm trying to make healthy choices, like you really can't eat some of those quote unquote healthier choices, like buying it 7 days a week or 5 days a week or whatever it is, like only so many times you can eat Chipotle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's a bowl or even if it's a salad or whatever it is, there's still limitations to it. And so what we started doing and what I think is like little elimination is I stopped when we go to the grocery store and get all the food and stuff like that we're supposed to cook for the week. Normally you like throw 1 or 2 items in the freezer and only leave out like the next day or two. And then like once you cook a meal, then you take the meal out that's like to defrost for 2. I stopped doing it. I just start leaving everything in the fridge because then I go, I have to cook it.
That's true.
I can't. If I just buy
some
80,
people might waste it though.
Hey man,
you own it.
Let me tell you something. You got $80 of steak in the fridge.
I'm cooking that steak.
That
we have to have
thing
steak every meal for the next 3 4 days. Absolutely.
And it's the same thing. Like I just did that. Like on Sunday, went and bought 6 freaking ribeyes, and I cooked 3 of them on Monday. And 3 of them are sitting in my fridge. Guess what we're having for dinner?
He eating like a king out here, bro. First of all, that's actually the way, bro. You can hit your macro so easily with that, and it's so good too.
Yeah.
It's a healthier fat as well, honestly, in contrast to a lot of the processed things. But bro, that's absolutely a great mentality. Is to force yourself, put yourself, just like you position yourself to win by doing something like that. You can also position yourself by not planning, is you positioning yourself to lose.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do one or the other. You either don't plan and fail subconsciously, or rather you want to be oblivious or whatever, or you can actually prepare to win. And the kitchen is a perfect example. How do you set yourself up to win, or fail to set yourself up, and that's going to be a loss inevitably.
Yeah.
So that's key.
Yeah, and there was, when I made that change and stopped putting stuff in the freezer, there were a couple times where like I was like, fuck, I gotta throw this out. And it, no matter how much money you make, you can look at a $40 thing of meat going in the trash, and then you feel
be mad about it. You should be.
Yeah.
Care how much I make.
I was like, I might throw this on the grill, give it to my dog at least.
Yeah,
like something.
We've all done that.
Yeah,
my dog tear it up like it's the best thing ever. He appreciative. So you gotta make use of something.
That's funny.
You gotta make use of everything.
So we've obviously covered like a lot of ground on some really important things. I would love to understand, what are some ways that you feel like going into this new year, that either I could be a resource to you, or people who support you that might watch this podcast can be supportive of you to hit those goals?
So as far as branding goes, it costs $0 just to follow. I will have content going up pretty soon. But just to follow and just to tune in and to spread the word and to reshare the things that I may post, things like that, that create just the movement. And the movement is not about me. Let me just clarify, this brand, I really want it to stand on a pillar of strength for people that just want to see a positive movement in terms of goals for themselves, helping the community, just betterment in every aspect of life, because that's when we really are in our thriving self. That's when we're thriving in purpose. That's when we find our true identity. When you're doing that's the best kept secret in life, is to be able to bless and to do for others. So that's what I want this movement to be about. And when you're unwavering in that sort of purpose, it's just going to cause, like I was mentioning earlier, a more solid and authentic community. So by following, by reposting, when I do have merch, if I throw out merch, you guys support that as often as you can. Tune in for the events. And then from Joe, I think him, just little do he know, just showing up. Granted, I probably have a little bit of excuse not to go to the gym. I work from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I work maybe 4 or 5 days a week. I try to do my stretches together. So I have to try to sleep in the middle of the day somehow, but I sacrifice a little bit for the gym. And I try to be consistent because I crave it consistently. So 8 o'clock is my gym time. I try to leave by like 10. And even though I see Joe as he's leaving, just to know that he checked in today, he woke up with the purpose to be great prior to his day starting, just by showing up. And he encourages me in so many different ways. He makes sure he sees me, says hi, and we'll chop it up just to be seen by people that you value. I value Joe, and I know that he's a very meaningful, powerful person physically and emotionally, as you guys can hear from this podcast. People like that, just to acknowledge you as he did his coworker, his employee. It's just powerful just to be seen. To smile and have that connection with people. So by you just showing up, inviting me on something like this, it shows that I am significant, and that gives me value. That gives me power. I want to engage. I want to bless somebody like this in the future, be able to engage in the community. So just by you being you, I don't really need anything financially from you or anybody. It's appreciated, but it's going to happen. Like you said, you don't chase the dollar, you chase the purpose, and then it will all cycle back around, like you mentioned earlier. So just by being present and having that authentic connection as you do with me, with others, that's going to motivate me to be better. And you are somebody that I will definitely reflect and be like, that is exactly how I want to trend. I'm going to be different. We're different. We have a different fingerprint, all of us, but I want to go that direction. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you and all that you do. And that's going to be something that's going to help me, just seeing you.
Yeah,
show
no,
up.
I love
Just gotta
that.
show up.
Yeah, I love that, man. I think I've actually started asking that question a lot more. How could I help you like with a goal? Like I really, because there's no way I could have got to this point in my life without many people supporting me and helping me in different ways. And
Let me say something. That right there is another key. Just acknowledging that we need people, not to be dependent, but we need people to unlock certain aspects of our lives. You have to acknowledge that because there's somebody out there that might be in that mode of I don't need people, and that's absolutely incorrect. You're gonna connect with people and they'll inspire you to a degree that you didn't even know. So you need people, not to be dependent, not to be unhealthy, but you need people to get to certain places in life, whether it be connect or whether it just be inspirational. So I like what you said there. Sorry to bother you.
No, absolutely. And it actually came across for me because I've done 75 hard. I completed it twice. I tried it 3 times. I did it my very first go, and then I tried it the second. I missed it, and then I did it a third time just to be like, okay, I could do it again. But through that process, I was reading a lot of different books, and one of the books that I read, like it pretty much said that nobody actually exists until you acknowledge them.
Dang.
And like to your point, we all want appreciation. We all want support. We all want love and best wishes, even if it's from a stranger. I mean, I can't tell you how many times you see a homeless person, transient, somebody, whatever you want to fucking call them. And maybe they're going to ask you for $1, but maybe they're just sitting there. And it costs, to your point, nothing to walk by, look at them and say, I hope you have a good day. And that could change everything for them. Right. And I think it's the same thing. So when I started having that kind of like thought process, I was like, I should start asking people if I can help them with anything. And again, it doesn't have to be a physical thing. It doesn't have to be anything tangible like that. But so I've started to do that a little bit more like on my Instagram and stuff, like, cause I am very proud of things I've accomplished in my life and where I'm at. But I'm like, I actually am more proud of being in a position where I could probably help people now. You know what I mean? I can't say that that's always been the case, but I think I'm physically now starting to get to that point where I can support them in different ways. And I need to make sure I'm a resource to do that. And I think by asking you that question, you're probably going to ask somebody else that question. That person's going to ask somebody else that question. And that just kind of snowballs into something where you are really building a brand and a community of people who are supporting one another. Because guess what? It will come back. And eventually you ask somebody who asks somebody, and it comes full circle. And at the moment you need some support, somebody might ask you that question. You know what I mean? And
that's the circle of life right there.
It is. It really is. It really is.
In the healthy world. That's the way it should be. That's the world that I desire to live in, is those who have that mentality of how can I help you? And that essentially is what I do day in and day out when I clock in. That is my commitment, to make sure that I address people, that I see people, past their illnesses, past what they're going through, their depression, their, just be able to interact and connect. Using yourself, using your character as raw medicine, right, as treatment, and you continue to have that mentality, Joe, it's going to be great things that happens to you and everyone who thinks that way. It has to come back in tenfold. It will. You just stay authentic.
It for sure does, man. Yesterday is a good example of this. There was a gentleman leaving our game day clinic.
Nice.
And I just finished a conference call for my other business, and he walked into my conference room. I leave my conference room doors open, unless I'm like on a call, like, and it's going to be loud, something like that. But I leave my conference doors open so all the patients know, like, they can walk in, they can talk to me whenever they want to. And he walks in, he's like, hey, you got a minute? And I was like, absolutely. And he's like, I just want to say thank you. And I was like, what did I do? And he was just like, look, man, he's like, I got to tell you, he's like, I'm like 2 months into this. And he was just like, my life's changing. He's like, I feel like I have like more value, more purpose. Like I'm bolder, like I'm happier. My emotions are all on point. And literally I was like, man, I'm so glad to hear that. That makes my day. It makes me feel special. Like all I wanted was a business that could honestly support men and help men get back on track and be the best optimal self, to themselves. Right. And he goes, I want you to know that I'm supporting you by having my friends come and, do their stuff. And I didn't even know this, but he had referred a friend. And the reason this is important is because, he referred this friend signed up and did all that. Well, I was like, well, man, like who is this person? Cause we have a referral program. You should get credit for that. He's like, what you've done for me, I don't even want it. Don't even want it. So it makes you feel good at some point in time. You don't really realize how supportive people really are when you do something for them. You know what I mean? That you're trying to get them to the best position for them to succeed. And then all they want to do is do the same back for you. And, so it's kind of funny. Like if you just do it naturally and you just enjoy time and support people, at some point in time, you're probably going to get that support back 10 times fold, and you don't even realize it. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of us men, if we on that topic, a lot of us men hurt. A lot of us have. I personally have. I have father issues, and a lot of us didn't get the support or appreciation because we missed that role model in our life. And you get a lot of it from peers. Not to say Joe's my dad, forget this guy. But it's the appreciation, it's just to be seen. You unlock a certain aspect of yourself, and I think that a lot of us carry, like I mentioned earlier, just tall guards because of our personal afflictions and things of that nature. So yeah, by being able to reach out to people like that, men especially, are just able to be ourselves. We're always caught in this, like I said, these variety of hats we have to wear. But just to be seen and to be helped, I think men are humbled in a certain way because we kind of operate like if we don't have it, woe is me. And we don't I don't know, a lot of us should have backup plans and things like that. But we can fatigue if we don't feel we're supported and if we reach a certain burnout. So to have support, I think it's appreciated man to man, not in competition, because that's where we tear each other down. That's where we start killing each other. That's where you see the streets the way they are. But when you actually feel supported, you get with people and you feel and you see the love, a certain guard comes down, a certain authentic aspect of us comes out. Right. So now we can operate that individual of you, the one that's not bound with stress and feeling like you're not seen. That sort of individual will never be his authentic self to the society, and they're going to see him a certain way. Right. So being able to be the way you are, you unlock a different part of people, especially men. I say that because like men, we're just so different in the way that we're wired. In the way that we feel about support and things like that.
You know what I just realized though? I mean, you touched on it, you were like, it sounds like you had some issues with your father. Yeah. I definitely did too.
100%.
I wonder 100%. If, and not to say when I meet people that I click with, I'm going to start being like, "You got daddy issues too?"
You got dad?
No, I don't. But you know what? What is interesting is how every person who usually has an adversity of some sort in their life, like they then take it and apply it, and they make sure it's not even close to an adversity in how they operate their life. And I see how you are with your daughter. I love seeing all the things that you do with her. Hey man, and that time you spend, and before this podcast started, you and I were talking about the time that I'm spending with my son and getting him into boxing and stuff like that. I actually think like we're kind of lucky in the sense that we're great fathers because maybe we didn't have that stability at certain points in time of our life. And, but then we also have to make sure, and I don't know if you've done this yet, to make amends with those individuals the best that we can. Maybe you can't get back time. You can never get back, being 7 years old and not having your dad there for Christmas or this or that. But you can certainly make amends with certain people and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to meet you where you're at today. And I'm going to let you meet me where I'm at today and move forward. And I did that a couple of years ago, like had a real conversation. And it changed things for me and my perspective on being a father. But regardless,
I'm glad. No, that's a big topic. I mean, with my father, I haven't really been in contact with him, but with my mother, believe it or not, I had a really different relationship with her growing up. A lot of resentment within that, and she recently reached a hard point. And I offered my home, and she now stays with me. And there's a lot of trauma there too. That sometimes I bite my tongue because I still have voids. Yeah, I need a lot of counseling on that too. But it is a stepping stone. I do want to display to my daughter. I want to show her the traditional family tree. She now knows that that's grandma. They met maybe just like a year and a half ago. Where my daughter is now having conversations and things like that. So now she loves her. They know each other. That connection is there. And now it's a gift for me, despite of how me and her was. To me, that's progress. You know what I mean? My mom hasn't apologized for different things. And that's, like I said, that's different therapy. But we are I'm meeting her where she is and where I'm approaching where I am. And we're just going to slowly morph to hopefully build this relationship. And that, that's all I can hope for. And because we all need grace. We're people. We screw up. And we need the same grace. We need to give the same grace that we need to receive from time to time. As you mentioned, just our mentalities, they shift, we grow, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So implement some grace. We all need it, and that's what I'm trying to do. As irritated as I might be, and as rightful as that is, you still need to grow. We still need to implement some grace, because at the end of it all, at the deathbed, right, as we talked about earlier, a lot of this stuff is meaningless. When that person's taking, you don't know how you're going to feel when that loved one that you hated your whole life is taking their last breath, and you had so much you want to say, but such little time. So you have to take that into consideration and just try to make these amendments, as he said, now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I had that conversation with my sister, probably about 30 to 45 days before she passed. She passed 41 years old. She had heart issues. And unfortunately, also at the same time, met a guy, got into drugs, and she pretty much chose drugs over her kids. And, that whole situation got very complicated for many, many years. And the drug use did amplify the impact on her heart and what it was going to be capable of holding. And so, she might have been able to get to, no matter what, she was going to die young because of the heart condition. She needed a heart transplant, but you got to be right with, how this is.
It's not a good history when you're
you got to be healthy. You got to be sick enough to need the transplant and healthy enough to receive it. And she had missed that mark because of that timeline. And so, one of the times that she was in the hospital, like I went and see her, and she did not expect me to come and see her because we weren't in a good spot. And I just said, listen, I'm going to come make amends with you because I understand what it's like to do wrong to other people. I've done plenty of wrong to other people. And I've gone to those people in advance and said, hey, I made a mistake and I need to apologize for it. And I treated you this way and I need to correct course. And some of those people have also come to me and said, hey, you need to make amends with me. And I'm like, oh shit. So I didn't even know I had wronged those people. Right. And so here I am going to her, and I was just like, listen, I'm going to come to you and tell you that we're going to make amends. Here's my problems with you. Here's what I think. You don't have to do anything about it, but I just need to say it so you understand where I'm at, and we can meet where I'm at, and I'm going to meet you where you're at, and that we're going to move forward. And because of that, we had a beautiful next stage until she did pass.
Oh man.
But one of the things that, I talked to her about was doing the same thing, that she needed to make amends with my mom, and she needed to make amends with her kids and some other people that she's wronged. And I think she had an opportunity to do most of that. I don't know that she was able to do all of it, unfortunately. But I will say, as a little brother and as a man, knowing that I had that conversation with her, it was pretty valuable. It was probably one of the best and proudest moments of my life, was knowing that I was able to drop that knowledge on her. And so for anybody who is listening, who's gotten to this point, we're talking about some very difficult amends that have to be made with friends, family.
Uncomfortable.
Very, very uncomfortable, but you should, because you just never know where things are going to be. So
that's dead on.
Yeah.
And I think what to tie that into just health in general, I think a lot of that time, I can't speak for you, but for myself, as I'm training, I'm listening to music sometimes, but tell me if I'm wrong, but it's a form of meditation. You kind of review many conversations. Yeah. It's a point where you get a hold of your body and your thoughts and what you've done. You just debrief. As you're working out, you recall a lot. And it's a great therapy. Your mental clarity is much better. You feel better. You can approach situations in a different mentality after exercising. So that's something like that is very therapeutic. And into amending relationships, reconciling relationships, that's very key. So taking care of yourself, you are taking care of your mind, right? And then that can affect society.
Yeah.
And your family.
Well, and on that note, we've talked about some heavy things, so I'm gonna kind of close up here with a little bit of advice to some people. Something I'd highly recommend for everybody is, maybe not everybody has an outlet like this where they can have an authentic conversation with somebody in like a platform setting of a microphone or whatever it is. But every single one of us possesses the power to pick up the phone and have a conversation with somebody on a drive to work or whatever. Mm-hmm. Every single person has the ability to ask somebody to go to coffee, maybe not dinner, so you don't get interrupted and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But we all have that ability. And, having this was therapy.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So again, people might not have this platform, but even just having a conversation with you and me learning more about you, everyone has the ability to have that kind of therapy in their life. You just have to be willing to make the phone call or have the conversation and open up. And you'd be surprised what kind of return you're going to get. on it. So I would highly recommend everybody to have those type of difficult and sometimes even just fun conversations to open up with some friends. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't let your life get so busy that you forget what it's really about. It's really about, life is always about progressing and figuring things out. And sometimes you need support in order to do that. And so, I just want to kind of close on that because I think, this has been, again, therapeutic for me and every person I've had a conversation with. I've learned something about. I learned a lot about you today too. And so I appreciate the conversation, brother. Absolutely. I love you. I'm here to support you in any goal, any goals that you want.
Appreciate you, my man.
And just tell everyone again one more time where they can find you.
So you can find me Instagram. You can find me Just the Ray It Is. Basically, I'll post fitness content, motivational content, nursing, humor, that sort of content. I just like to engage with the community. I like to laugh. We'll have sincere talks as we did today, but I try to keep it blended. Just the Ray It Is. That's the same way on TikTok. You can follow me there. My first and last name, Raekwon Simmons at yahoo.com for email, Facebook as well, if anyone uses that, first and last name. But yeah, bro, I appreciate these conversations as well, man. Just giving me, people like me, an opportunity to come on here and express our similarities and to get into the depths of conversations that we have is a blessing. Like you said, this platform is not provided by everybody, and maybe it's not for everybody, but the fact that we're here today, whoever's listening, it was with purpose. And management, we talked about time management. It was huge. I made time. I worked last night. I moved my gym time. I moved a lot of personal time to make time for this, and I got a lot out of it. So you invest your time in the right places, and you'll harvest in a sweet, great way. So this is just another example. So I appreciate it, bro.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
We're out.